Some call it the most important news story that was never told. The story of potentially thousands of babies killed over the span of 30 years by one man, West Philadelphia late-term abortion doctor Kermit Gosnell. Critics say his crimes have been hidden from the public eye through a continuous campaign of censorship. Recently, I traveled to Los Angeles to talk to two people who are trying to bring the untold story to light. For years, the sign on this building read Women's Medical Society. But after learning what was going on inside, it became known as a house of horrors. The abortion clinic owner and practitioner, Dr. Kermit Gosnell, is now serving 3 life sentences for killing babies that were born alive. Last May, a Philadelphia jury also found him guilty of killing a 41-year-old woman in a botched abortion.
A year after the guilty conviction, it's here in Los Angeles, the other side of the country, where the next chapter of the story is unfolding. Independent filmmakers Anne McElhaney and her husband Philip McAleer have made it their mission to make a movie exposing the truth about Kermit Gosnell.
I think this is the biggest serial killer in American history, and Americans need to know what was done and how it happened and how he was allowed to go on killing for 40 years.
McAleer and his wife plan to bring the story to the small screen sometime next year. But first, they need to raise enough money. They've launched a crowdfunding campaign on Indiegogo, a site that pulls individual donations to help get creative projects off the ground. So far, they've raised about 90% of their $2.1 million goal.
We feel an enormous responsibility now to tell this story well and to do it right. So we are very worried we're not going to meet the total. We're very exhausted because we're working so hard.
But then every day something happens that makes us think, oh my God, this is extraordinary. Like last week, we had a man who tweeted out a photograph of his just born granddaughter and said to celebrate her birth on that day, he sent us $100.
They view each donation as a vote, voicing opposition to what they call media censorship, noting the big network's refusal to cover the Gosnell story in favor of the Jodi Arias trial. The filmmakers say the censoring campaign continued when Kickstarter, their original choice for funding, asked them to make some changes.
So Kickstarter were just continuing in that grand tradition of censoring this story, of making sure that the light, the antiseptic light of truth, would never ever penetrate this Philadelphia abortion clinic where these children were murdered, thousands of them. And to this day, they are unremembered. We're going to change all that.
They've taken their crusade to the conservative media, and their efforts are getting some help from major Hollywood backers like Kevin Sorbo, the star of the recent film God's Not Dead.
We'd like to ask you to help our friends Anne McElhaney and Philip McAleer to make a film about Kermit Gosnell.
If the media won't do their job, then we can do it ourselves.
They're celebrities, they're Hollywood people. As you know, Kevin has just had this very successful movie. And, you know, we just went and we asked them, and they didn't hesitate for a second, not for a millisecond. They said, we're in.
No strangers to tackling controversy, they believe this film will have the power to change the abortion debate in America. But they say that won't happen if they fail to meet their goal.
Then all the money goes back to the people. The money goes straight back to their credit card. But the film doesn't get made, and Kermit Gosnell's name then fades into obscurity. His crimes fade into obscurity.
And all the people who don't want the story to be known win.
And his victims are never remembered.
Something they vow not to let happen. For more information on this film project, you can visit our website, cbnnews.com.